So here's what's left of my arrows that I was shooting in it, and I have encountered something in my target that keeps breaking my tips off, and to further complicate things, I have left additional hazards in the target to now break future tips off. I am in a position of necessity and having to get some new shafts going. And so here we go. I got some new shafts here. These are all Sitka spruce shafts, doweled out on my doweling tool. And I'll put a picture probably in here, you know, magic of editing, that'll show the tool that I use to dowel them out. And for those of you that are interested in using that same tool, I'll put a link in the description that shows you or takes you to Amazon to purchase one for yourself if you would like. When you wet down wood like this, you can feel how it gets like furry, right? The grain starts to raise on the wood, on raw wood. So there's no finish, of course, on these guys. I'm going to be staining them. I say stain, the reality is I will be dyeing them, but the dye I will be using is water-based, and I do not want the dye to raise the grain. So raising the grain in advance, I'm going to let these guys dry. I'm going to go ahead and sand out the shafts some more. You'll notice that I have not yet cut them to length, so that I can in fact chuck them up and sand them down. Now I always sand from tip to stern, because if you go the other way, it pulls it out of the chuck. Yeah, that's nice and smooth right there. All right. Give it another wet down. And repeat for all of the rest of the shafts here. Okay, I got these things cut to length here, so everything has been completely smoothed and worked through, you know, wet sanding or wetting down the wood and then sanding it. And I'm just putting on the nock taper here on each of the shafts so that I can get the nocks in place. about 18 yards away from my target here. We can get a feel for the arrow flight and whatnot. And that's really what I'm interested in seeing, is how the arrows fly. Seem to be flying pretty true. So, yeah, pretty happy with those so far.